Hi everyone, I'm JD from Willow Band Journals, and I am going to be doing my next page spread for the List Journal course, which is a free course I'm running here over on my channel. And I believe I am up to day 7, and I'm going to do this one, sport. So I'll just mark that off. So okay, I know not everyone is into sport. So if you want to swap out this prompt, you are most welcome to do that and use whatever replacement prompt you would like. I really love sport, and I know it's a bit of a shock when people find out how much I love sport. They're like, wow, I never would have picked it. But I can talk about sport all day. I get very deep with it, very sort of philosophical with it, even theological with it. Sport teaches me so much. You know how I love learning? My favorite thing in life is to learn. That feeling when you learn something is just amazing. And when you, I don't know, when you're made to feel something and being moved by something, to me that's just such a great feeling. And sport does that. Sport teaches me, it inspires me, it moves me, it makes me emotional, the way that movies do, the way that books do, the way that songs do. And so it's a huge thing that really impacts me. And if you'll allow me, I'll tell you all about it in this video. So I am going to find a page in here, and I think I already know what page I'm going to use. I'm going to use this one, and I was originally going to use this as like a childhood page because of the rocking horse, and I had a rocking horse when I was a kid, but it kind of reminds me of the Melbourne Cup, which in Australia is called the race that stops the nation, and that's kind of what I want to talk about in this page spread, about how sport can bring a nation together, and not just a nation, it can bring people together. And that's one of the things I love most about sport, is that it's something that unites people. I mean, I know there's stories of rivalries and violence that can happen, but I'm focusing here on the good parts of sport and the good things that sport can bring, because anything can bring out the worst in people. Anything, absolutely anything. But I want to focus on how sport can bring the best out of people. You know, sportsmanship, sacrifice, hard work. You know, just it brings people together. It makes people laugh and cry and groan and cheer. And I love it. So I'm just sticking these pieces on here because these are representing my football team, the Eagles. Shout out to Xenia. The Eagles, West Coast Eagles, are my footy team here in Australia, AFL, Australian Football League. That's my favourite sport, basically. Growing up in Melbourne, of course, that was my favourite sport. You might be wondering then, why do I go for the Eagles when they're in Perth? My dad and brother went for them, and blue's my favourite colour, and I like my favourite bird of prey is the eagle. All the other birds represented in the AFL are like, no, not interested in the other birds, crows, magpies, hawks. But the eagle is majestic, and the wedge-tailed eagle is just like, when you see it face to face, I was in awe of how big it was, how tall and how wide the wingspan was. Absolutely majestic. Anyway, so there's a reason why I go for the Eagles. And I don't know, I'm going to put the date down here, I think. So Thursday, the 17th of the 8th, 23. Now, what I'm going to do here is switch over to voiceover, because all I'm going to do is add some writing space here. I wonder if I could actually just write over the top of that. I probably could. I might do that actually. And this is quite a deep topic for me and what I want to record here. So I know I'm going to switch over to voiceover so I can kind of share that while you just watch me place the items. And I'm not really sure what I'm doing here, but think I'm just going to leave it like that. So I will switch to voiceover and talk about the 5 events that I want to document on this page. And I am limiting myself to 5, and that will lead me to a broader chat about what sport means to me, and hopefully you get something out of it and maybe look at sport through a different lens or are encouraged and you're like, yeah, me too. I have the same feelings about sport. I was talking to one of my friends about it, about tennis in particular for this conversation. She wasn't into tennis. She didn't care less about tennis. And when she heard me talk about how tennis teaches me about life and why I love it, she started watching tennis with new eyes through my eyes, and she started to get into it. And I was like, that's awesome. Anyway, I'm going to switch over to voiceover. So the first thing on my list that I wrote about was the West Coast Eagles and the premierships that I watched. In particular, the 2 latest ones, but they have won 4, which is very lucky. So I don't remember if I saw the very first one, but I have vague memories that I did see it, but I was very young. And the second one, I do have a memory that I was at my auntie's house and some of the extended family, we were there watching it, and the Eagles won then, but I was too young to really care about it back then. So it was the 2 later ones that were really the ones that I was very, very excited about. So 2006, when they won then, amazing. And I was content with that. If they never won another premiership after that, I was okay, because I at least saw one. Other people supporting other teams haven't seen one at all. So I thought, I'm happy with just one. But then in 2018, they surprisingly won the premiership. Like in 2006, they were one of the favourites. In 2018, they weren't one of the favourites. It was a complete shock to me that they actually won. But I watched it, and I watched in awe. It was a very close game. Both of these games were very close, and it was brilliant, and I was very happy. And they won that, and it was just amazing. And so I have a tradition where I watch a premiership every Christmas, so that's like a Christmas present to myself, to watch the premiership. I own them all. The second thing on my list is, and this connects now the rest of the moments, I guess, with the green and gold strip on this page. So of course, I'm a fan of watching Australia play in whatever sport. There's this joke, I don't know if this is a joke in every country, but it's a very well-known joke in Australia that Australians will watch any sport if Australia is playing, and even if they've never followed it before and don't know anything about it, they're suddenly the biggest fan of that sport if Australia is doing well in it. And again, I don't know if this is a worldwide thing in other countries, but Australia, for us, we have a reputation that we are huge sport fanatics, but I feel like other countries are like that too with their particular sports. But we're known, from my understanding, as like a country that is known for their love of sport, and I definitely see that as a defining thing about us, yes, but I feel like other countries have that as well. But anyway, I remember these moments, and I'll, not read them out, but speak them out here, what I wrote out here, so there's the next one. I remember being in primary school, and we were in computer class or technology or something, which was oddly run by our sport teacher, our phys ed teacher, and the Olympics was on. I think it was Atlanta, Georgia, the Atlanta, Georgia Olympics, I believe, and he stopped class and put on the radio Kathy Freeman's race and in the 400 meters, and she was, our biggest Olympic star, basically. And so, I was impressed, like, that had never happened before. I hadn't seen that in school before. School, you just do the work and wait till you get home type thing to have fun. But he stopped class and tuned into the radio, and we just listened to the race. It was brilliant. She got silver, And, you know, of course we were hoping for gold, but we were happy with silver. And I was just happy that we got to do something different in class, and that our teacher let us listen to it. I was like, wow, that's really amazing. And I love that kind of idea, again, that the race that stops the nation, or the sport event that stops the nation, and that kind of stopped us, our class anyway. And it felt really fun to me. And so I've clearly remembered that as a fun moment. Next one is similar. So when I was at uni, there was the campus centre, and you'd often have to walk through the campus centre to get to your other class. So our classrooms or lecture theatres were on opposite sides of the campus centre. So you have like 10 minutes to get to your next class, and you'd walk through the campus centre, and sometimes it would take 10 minutes literally to get from one side of the uni to the other. And I remember just loving, there were TV screens on in the campus centre. I'm just going to loop this video. And they weren't ever on except for big news events and when the Olympics were on, or the Commonwealth Games or something. And so when the Olympics were on, for those 2 weeks, the TV screens were on. And I remember you'd walk through the campus centre. Usually you just walk straight through to go to your next class. But this one you'd kind of linger, and a crowd would gather around the TV screens. And you'd just have this moment where you'd collect with this group of strangers, and you would kind of talk to them a little bit and be like, and you'd laugh together, and you would, groan at the same time, and you'd like actually connect with each other a little bit, and talk about what you were watching, like the diving. I think it was diving we were watching one time, and then you'd move on to the next, class. And I just loved those little moments of connection, and that's what sport brings out the best in people, in terms of like those moments of connection. Like usually you just walk straight past, and even if you're standing with a group of strangers, you don't interact at all. But sport has this way of connecting you, and this shared common humanity, and I love that about sport. I love that connection. Another moment, this is an actual sporting moment where I was just watching it by myself, and it's quite recent. I think it was either Olympics or Commonwealth Games. I think it was the Olympics. I'm not sure. I get really confused when I remember back if it was one or the other. And it was the decathlon, I believe it was. And there were two Aussies in it. I believe their names were Daphne and Maloney. And one of them had a chance to win bronze. The other didn't have a chance. And it was the final event, some long distance running event. And I believe it was Daphne who was yelling in Maloney's ear the whole time, just to encourage him and get him over the line to get bronze. And you could see, I don't know if I'm reading into this, but Maloney was kind of slowing down, and Daphne just looked like he was great. He could have run ahead of him and finished higher in that particular race. It would have helped with the overall medal. But so he kind of sacrificed his own race and ran next to and behind Maloney, just yelling at him, come on, to get going and not give up this opportunity. And it worked. He, got the bronze medal, and it was like a team bronze medal. They both deserved that medal. And that's what I love about sport as well. Again, it brought out the best in people. It brought out the best in this guy who could have maybe given up and just been like, oh, it's too hard, I can't do it. And he did it, and it brought out the best in this other guy. He sacrificed his own race to help his mate. And that's a big thing in Australia too. I'm pretty sure it's a big thing everywhere. But the thing we're known for in Australia is like helping out your mate, and being there for your mate. And so that was just the most Aussie thing that we saw. But again, maybe it was the most human thing to see. This guy sacrificing his own chance of a higher position to help his mate, and it gets me emotional. I love that kind of stuff. And great connection, humanity, beautiful. And then the last moment that I'm documenting is 2 games of soccer that we watched recently. Again, I don't watch soccer. I couldn't care less about soccer, because the Matildas, the Australian female team, were playing. They were doing really well. They made the semi-final for the first time. Unfortunately, they lost in the semi-final, but we watched the quarter-final game, and it was epic. Oh my goodness, it was completely boring, the whole game. It went into extra time, no goals, and then the penalty shootout. It was epic. It was all worth it for that penalty shootout. It was so epic. They won at 7-6, and it was like you're just riding. I was on the edge of my seat. It was nerve-wracking. I was like, oh, we're going to lose it. Oh, we're going to win it. Oh, we're going to lose it. Okay, now we're going to win it. No, we're going to lose it. No, and I can't take this anymore. And then finally they did win it, and it was just, we were on, cloud nine. And that's what sport can do too. It can bring out the emotion in us. And this is what I kind of want to get to the heart of, how sport is this magnifying glass of the life journey. Life has ups and downs. Life is full of pain and agony and groaning, and also the cheering and the delight and the ecstasy. And sport in like this 2-hour time frame puts all of that into that. That's why it's like a magnifying glass. But the thing with sport is you're doing it together. Even if you're watching by yourself, you know that other people are watching, whether on the TV or at home in their lounge room, whatever. And it's this, you're connected, even if it's only you watching the players, you're connected to the players, it feels like. And it's this, it just makes me feel alive, it makes me feel human. And yes, it can be so painful. When my team loses, when Australia loses, I actually feel quite heartbroken. And I feel like life is so much duller afterwards. It takes me a while to get back into, oh yeah, everything's fine. And I love that. Well, I don't love that feeling, but I love that it mimics life. It's a mirror to life. Life is full of pain. Life is full of heartbreak. Life is full of things not going your way. And sometimes it's unfair, and sometimes it's just the way things go. And you work hard and it goes well sometimes, but other times you work just as hard and it doesn't go well. And it's just about how you deal with these things and move on with it. And sport teaches me, you just get back up and you keep going, and you cry with your teammates, you cry with your family members when it doesn't go well, and you celebrate when it does go well. And no matter what, if it goes well, if it doesn't go well, you just keep on going for the love of the game, for the love of what you're doing, for the love of doing what you do really well. If you're talented at sport, you do it because you're talented at it, and it gives you joy, and it gives other people joy, and it brings people together, and it's so amazing. And if we could get that in life, if we could do that in life, just do what we do well and have that bring people together and inspire people. And yes, we're going to go through painful times, and we're going to go through heartbreak and groaning, and when things don't work out, and downright things that are unjust and unfair. But we do it together. We do it together with our family members who support us, with our friends, with strangers who get behind us, and with our teammates. Or even if you're in a solo sport, you always have a team. You always have a team that's behind you. And I don't know. Sport for me, I think one of the reasons why we like sport is because it mimics the life journey, and that's why we like stories. That's why we like books. That's why we like movies, is because it gives us a story, it gives us a narrative, it gives us something we can connect with, it gives us something that brings out what life is and makes it bearable, and gives us life lessons that we can take into the rest of our life. And anyway, sport teaches me so much, and I've wanted to write a book about sport for a long, long time, about the lessons that it gives me. And we can learn so much from sports people. We can learn so much, and I hope this is maybe giving you a fresh perspective on sport and what it means. And if you maybe are already all over this, you're like, yeah, you're speaking my language, let me know that too. But just with this last point, the whole watching the quarterfinal and their epic win in the penalty shootout to the next final that they lost, it was just, it was hard, but you can never take away that moment of the quarterfinal win. And so that gives me that comfort and that solace, even though I keep replaying in my head, it's like, if only this, if only they did get that goal, if only, it was so close, and no. And like replaying that over my head. That's what we do in life. We replay moments and go, if only this, if only that, and this was such a close chance, and that was a closed door there, and what could have been, but you celebrate the wins beforehand, and you know that there will be wins in the future, and you know that there will also be more heartbreak in the future, and it's just life. We do it together. It's when we don't do it together that it's painful, the most painful. It's when we are isolated doing life alone that it's the hardest. So anyway, those are some of my thoughts. I could go on forever about this, And now I'm really inspired to write this book about sport. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this really chatty video and about something that I'm very, 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 very passionate about as the Willow Princess. I want to talk about sport. I want to talk about faith. I want to talk about mental health. I want to talk about journaling and writing and story and movies and creativity. And I hope this is okay to share on my channel just things I love and things that impact me and things that move me, things that teach me, things that inspire me. I hope you are encouraged, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have fun with your list journals, and if you want to share a photo of it, feel free to share that. Tag me on Instagram or in the Facebook group page. Bye guys. A big thank you to my beautiful patrons who supported me in July. I literally cannot do this without you, so it means the absolute world to me. If you would like to support me for the month of August, feel free to head on over to my Patreon. The link is down below in the description box, and that is where you get access to extra videos, the Make a Journal With Me series, and the sneak peeks to my journals and creations and first access for all of those, plus printables, every digital kit in my Etsy, and mail tiers, and lots of fun goodies over there. You are also welcome to donate through PayPal or buy me a coffee as a once-off thing anytime. Thank you so much for all of your support and for being here with me on this creative journey.